I'm with Incarcerated Reentry. First of all, you probably want to know, well, where is Incarcerated Reentry, right? Actually, one of the facilities that we have is at ASPC Perryville. It's in Goodyear, Arizona. It's an all-female prison, and currently they house about 3,520 inmates, and that's what Perryville looks like. That's just the front entrance before you go in. We also are at ASPC Lewis, which is in Buckeye, Arizona. It's an all-male facility. Currently, they are housing 5,332 inmates. Both facilities have from level 1 to level 5 inmates, and all of them are eligible for education. So what do we do at Perryville and Lewis? Well, the Incarcerated Reentry education that will give the inmates a work-based skill, enabling them to earn a livable wage upon release. A lot of them don't have the skills that you or I have. They haven't been to school, they haven't been to college. A lot of them haven't even finished grade school. So they can get their 8th grade literacy, then they go on to earn their GED, and then they can come on to our programs. I probably got ahead of myself. So at Perryville, we provide automotive technology, computer technology, construction, strictly electrical, graphic arts, and horticulture. Also, just recently we started ABE and GED out at Perryville. At Lewis, we have automotive technology, construction, and in the construction we have carpentry and electrical, furniture construction or cabinet making, horticulture, and there as well, we just started with ABE and GED also. At Perryville, we see approximately 1,000 students every month, and at Lewis, we're right around 500. So 1,500 students come through our doors every month between both facilities. We also offer on-site academic advising so that the students have the opportunity to experience what the students on the outside do. They can talk to the advisors, they can set up their career path, their degree plan. So we try to provide them the same opportunities on the inside that students get on the outside. And we try to set our classrooms up very similar to that as well. The only difference is our students don't have access to the internet, so they have to do everything via paper and pencil and using the books that are in the classroom. They don't have the capability to use the internet at all. So who are our customers? Well, obviously our internal customers are all of you guys, the college, the Community Development Department, the bookstore, because we do have students that take distance learning classes out there as well. So we interact with the bookstore, course support, SES, and many, many more. We recently, because of the contract with ABE and GED, we now work very closely with ABE GED department here as well. Our external customers, as you might imagine, is the Arizona Department of Corrections, the staff at both facilities. We also interact with their central office as well. And then obviously our students, the inmates who are housed at Perryville and Lewis. So what's new? Now that you know about Incarcerated Reentry, what's new with us? Well, we've been doing this for 25 plus years out there. And just recently in July of 2013, they renewed our contract for another year. ABE GED was added in 2011, right, Mr. Decker? Was added in 2011, and again, they also renewed their contract with us for another year, so that's always good news. We just recently added a site coordinator at Lewis. About 3 years ago, the contract hit a little hiccup, and due to contract negotiations, the staff was actually let go for 3 months. So during that time, budgets were cut, and some staff was eliminated. So for the past 3 years, I've been overseeing both locations and running back and forth between Perryville and Lewis. And the college was gracious enough to provide a site coordinator at Lewis who oversees the day-to-day operations. So while I still have Lewis in my purview, so to speak, I don't have to go out there every single day, which is kind of nice because it is kind of a far drive. I'm sure some of you know about far drives to work, and it's not always very easy to do that every single day. So I'm very, very thankful that I have the new site coordinator at Lewis. And we're also in the process of adding 2 modular buildings out at Perryville, which I'm really excited about. These are the old trailers, or modular buildings, excuse me, that made up our 7th Avenue location, right, Todd? The trailers were at 7th Avenue, I think. So now they built a brand new nice facility for 7th Avenue, so they didn't know what to do with the trailers. So my department spoke up and said, let's give the staff at Perryville their own place to go, because currently we share offices with the Department of Corrections. Now you might imagine when you want to have conversations and you want to vent about certain policies and procedures with these people that you're sharing a room with right across the way, sometimes it's not very comfortable. So I am really, really excited about the modular buildings, because not only will they provide us additional classroom space, so we'll be able to add classes and enrollment, but now we will have our Rio own space, and I am really, really excited about that. Contact information in case any of you ever need to get a hold of us. For student issues, we have a student services tech and an office coordinator. The student services tech that's currently filling in at Perryville is Deanne Johnson, and her extension is there. The good thing about Perryville is we are on the college network in the admin offices at Perryville, so that allows us to be able to use the extension, and we're on the calendars and everything that you guys are on here. At Lewis, unfortunately, we don't have that same luxury, so that's the phone number for the office coordinator at Lewis. If by some chance you want to come out and visit us, contact me, and I will work towards getting you guys cleared to come out and take you on a little tour. Any other issues at Perryville, you would contact me, or at Lewis, you can contact Stephanie Wilson. Again, like I told you guys earlier, she's the new site coordinator out there. Now, they asked us to talk about something that was astonishing, something somehow that we astonished our customer. And the first thing that came to mind is our construction program has built the Veterans Day Parade for the Department of Corrections for the last 5 years, and we've placed first out of 4 of those 5 years. Well, again, it's not a real float. It's actually for the Department of the Corrections, and the construction program builds these floats out of styrofoam. So all of that is made out of styrofoam, and it's just amazing to me to watch how this whole process works. So not only is it astonishing that we did get first 4 out of 5 years, but last year our construction technology teacher at Lewis Prison was named the 2011 Non-Uniformed Employee of the Year. So we drove down to Tucson, and he was awarded this award, which is really a big deal. The department's real big on awards, and the colleges as well. But for a college or a contractor to be named an Employee of the Year for the department is a pretty big deal. So we're pretty proud of the float. I don't know if any of you ever go to the Veterans Day Parade, but if you happen to go this year, we, again, will have another entry, so make sure and look for it. It's sponsored by Arizona State Credit Union, the Department of Corrections, and the college builds it. So that's all I have. I don't know if I'm supposed to ask for questions. Do you guys have any? Yes? Once upon a time, it was not mandatory, but recently they came out with what they call a priority ranking list, and based on what skills you came or education you came to prison with is dependent upon what programming you need. So now some of the students that do come to the program don't necessarily want to be there, which is still baffling to me how you could not want to participate in college, especially knowing that you're locked up and you're going to get out someday and you need to learn something other than deal drugs, you know, or whatever you did. So some of them do want to be there and some of them don't. But usually if they don't, I usually go in and give them a little talk and show them the benefits of it. And then usually their attitude turns around. But thanks, that was a good question. Anything else? All right, well, I will turn it over to Mr. Aukus.
Hello, my name is Todd Aukus. I'm the director of the Communiversity at Surprise. Communiversity at Surprise came about through a partnership between Rio Salado College and the City of Surprise. This partnership allowed us to be located on the Surprise City Center complex. We're located directly across the street from the Surprise City Hall and the Surprise City Council chambers. The Communiversity at Surprise brings together a high school district, community colleges, and universities so students could earn a certificate and associate's degrees to bachelor's, master's degrees in one convenient location. Classes at the Communiversity at Surprise are offered in person, online, and in hybrid modalities. 6 educational pathways are supported at the Communiversity and include business management, education, healthcare, information systems, liberal arts, and public safety. These pathways are supported by educational partners that specialize in subject matter areas. Through public and private partnerships, increased articulation agreements are provided. This adds value and flexibility for our students. This also contributes directly to student success. The Communiversity at Surprise represents a new model for higher education. This video tour of the Communiversity will allow you an opportunity to see an educational institution that is technically equipped, flexible, and designed to contribute directly to student success.
Innovation and education go hand in hand, and true innovation requires a recognition of the immense diversity of learning styles and thought processes. Inclusiveness dictates that these differences be incorporated in as many ways as possible to foster educational success and to support innovation. The Communiversity at Surprise incorporates multiple styles into the learning environment, allowing this diversity to flourish. The beautiful Surprise City Center courtyard leads us to the Communiversity at Surprise. As we enter the Communiversity, please note the blending of abundant technology, style, and architectural design, all wrapped into a pleasing and efficient learning environment. The student kiosks are workstations that merge attractive styling with usability in order to improve the learning environment. If a student enjoys a more personal touch, the kiosks have built-in webcams for live video conversations with representatives from Student Services. The main lobby creates a flexible atmosphere, conducive to both group work and individual study. For instance, there are comfortable chairs that have laptop tables next to power outlets. They can be used for solitary work or moved together to create a group workspace. Student laptops are easily used at Communiversity with free Wi-Fi access available throughout the building. The classroom hallways are color-coded for simplicity. The orange hallway is the western half of the building. The green hallway is the eastern side of Communiversity. And there are study rooms available for students to reserve if a more private learning environment is needed. These rooms have a large monitor that can be connected to a laptop, as well as available conference phones for a collaborative effort. There are 2 learning labs at the Communiversity at Surprise. The classrooms have tables permanently organized in a way that encourages efficient group participation. These rooms also have an incredible tool called a Starboard, which allows for interactive sharing on a level that's sure to help enhance nearly every class. The tiered classroom has seating for nearly 50 students in a way that allows all to see large presentations clearly. This room is also home to the interactive display, which allows the instructor to not only write on their personal display, but to show that display to the entire classroom. The Health Skills Lab is a unique room that has hospital beds set up in a real-world fashion that allows for hands-on training in health education. The classrooms at Communiversity at Surprise are designed to maximize student learning and accommodate faculty teaching styles. For example, the U-shaped rooms have unique possibilities for student learning. The community room is a large meeting space that can be partitioned into 3 separate classrooms or left open for larger events. When looking into one of Communiversity's computer classrooms, you may ask yourself, where are the computers? By the touch of a button, the screen will rise out of the desk to reveal a flat screen monitor. When more writing space is needed, another tap of a button lowers the screen for traditional tabletop usage. As we have just seen from our look around the Communiversity at Surprise, the campus is student and staff friendly. But it doesn't stop there. The facility is also very eco-friendly. The air conditioning and lighting is activated by motion sensors, ensuring that empty rooms are not using up power. The frequent use of bamboo and recyclable furniture makes this campus even more environmentally friendly. Those features, combined with the simple fact that students no longer have to drive long distances to multiple campuses, gives Communiversity at Surprise the opportunity to truly make an impact. The Communiversity at Surprise is a truly unique educational experience. We hope you enjoyed our personal look at this truly unique and innovative educational environment. Feel free to drop by and take a look in person. We'd love to show you around.
Anyone pick out the Easter egg? No. It wasn't the bug that went across the camera. That was not it. We had no control. It was Mark Baldwin, that guy that walked through the lobby in that jacket. He's got this brown jacket, and he goes, every time I present, I wear this brown jacket. I'm like, bring that brown jacket. So we had him walk through the lobby when we were doing that. We did that just for the enjoyment of the production folks. So we thought that was kind of clever. So what does your department or location do? Well, what we do at the Communiversity at Surprise is we offer higher education courses for degree-seeking students ranging from certificates to bachelor's to master's degrees. We offer the programs in multiple modalities, on-ground, online, and in hybrid formats, and we have seamless pathways that support student success from beginning through master's degrees right now. And the basic idea of the Communiversity is that it's a very flexible model. And one of the keys to the Communiversity is all of our programs have articulation agreements with our university partners, and that adds value. So our smallest articulation agreement is our new program in business. You can transfer 75 credits, but all the Ottawa programs transfer 80 credits into a master's, and all of the NAU programs except for the BSN are 3+1. And that's 90 hours with Rio and 30 hours with our partners. So what we've done is we've brought high quality education to the community at a reduced price. We provide student services at the Communiversity at Surprise as comprehensive as possible. If not, we bridge our technology to the main campus. We manage location operations. It's 26,000 square feet, and we have 15 classrooms, and we run morning, midday, and evening classes. So we also develop and maintain community partnerships and community outreach. Who are the main customers, internal and external? Well, of course, you guys are our primary internal customers because we work with the college departments and functions to help support the overall comprehensive services we offer at the Communiversity. We have a small staff, so we really rely on our peers and staff here at Rio Salado College. Also, our internal customers are one of our major customers and partners, the City of Surprise. And as far as I know, the Communiversity at Surprise is the first community college campus that is located on a city center. We're actually right across from City Hall and right across from the City Council chambers. And when you look out our window, the City Center fountain is directly inside the area there. Our other partners, our internal partners, include our educational partners, which is Glendale Community College, Phoenix College, Ottawa University, Northern Arizona University, and we also provide high school vocational programs for WestMec students. So our external customers include students and community partners and citizens. We do a lot of work in the community and outreach and specific programs and provide services for many businesses and community partners in the area. Where are we physically located? Is anybody in here familiar with the Surprise City Center? A couple of you? Yeah, beautiful new complex. They paid cash for that, by the way. We purchased our building from them, and it's on about 138th Avenue and approximately half a mile south of Bell Road. And you can see the Communiversity's circled there. They call that the bullet, how it's shaped like a bullet, and we're like right at the head of the bullet, but it is beautiful, all recreation, life and leisure in there, plenty of activity in there. It's a very citizen-friendly civic center. Contact information. These are the folks that work out there that are there full-time, and people that you can contact if you need anything in our location is me. I'm the director. My office is there. Frances Owens is our office coordinator, and she's in charge of scheduling and operational issues and providing work direction for our part-time staff. Roxy Holmes is our student services specialist. We also have Naima Shamoun She's from Glendale College. She's a student services specialist. Matthew Daly is a program coordinator from Ottawa University. Kathy Pinzone is a program coordinator from Phoenix College. Michael Warner is a program coordinator from NAU, our newest partner. Sherry Lichty-Baird is our counselor. And front desk and general information, we also have 9 site support people that rotate mornings, afternoons, and evenings. So we have a large part-time staff, and they're all there to help. And that's our main line at 384-9001, and that's the general line to come into the Communiversity. What's new at your department or location? Well, starting October 1st, our testing center is moving from my other location of responsibility. I also oversee the Lifelong Learning Center. We're moving the testing center from the Lifelong Learning Center that now focuses primarily on non-credit education over to the Communiversity, and that aligns all of our programming with for-credit post-secondary education, which is what we offer at the Communiversity. Little known fact, our testing center brings in over 5,000 customer service instances a year. So we'll have 5,000 additional people visiting the Communiversity this year when the new testing center's up, and that's October 1st. And the next new activity that's going on at our place is we're converting our health skills lab into a more comprehensive dental assisting lab. It's still very flexible. Where you saw the beds, we've moved out the beds and we've put in chairs for the dental assisting. So that's new for us, and that'll be up and running this fall. We already have a chair in and other tools, and it's real close right now. So finally, I'll do this as quickly as possible in like a minute. I'd say our best example of customer astonishment at our location was when recently in March of this year, about the same time we were going through the Higher Learning Commission visits here at the college. Glendale was going through it also. But they had a site visit because they had to renew their site approval for the Communiversity. So working with all of the staff here at the college and working with Glendale Community College to help them, we hosted a actual location visit for Glendale College at the Communiversity, and we tried to make everything perfect. We got numbers for them. We prepared rooms for them. We had staff heavy, wanted to make sure that all of the questions that they asked of the Communiversity were easily answered. And so we could show off this new model because it is a very new model, and the Higher Learning Commission had a lot of questions about it because it's so different with all the seamless student transfer and that. So we managed it for 4 hours, and we sat and had the visit and answered a lot of questions and brought in our subject matter experts. And at the end of the visit, the person was from Iowa who was on that visit. She had called and let me know personally how wonderful of a job we've done supporting Glendale, because we were helping with a site visit for another school. And when I got home from work about 3 days later, the president of Glendale College actually hand wrote a note to me and all of my staff and sent it to our homes and said we had done a fabulous job and that they fully expected to pass our Higher Learning Commission visit, and that was really, truly surprising. But we had focused on that as a team, and with the college and with Glendale, quite frankly, also working with their deans. But it was funny because I got my letter first. I'm like, whoa, I got a letter from the president, handwritten, sent to my home. And others that came in, got mine, got mine, got mine. Everybody, all the full-time staff that did that project, all got a letter from Irene Kovala, and it was really nice. So that's my story. Are there any questions? Any questions at all? All right, I hope I answered everything. Thank you for letting us come over today.
So I'm from the testing department, which is a bit of a fallacy. It's actually the Frontline Services, Proctoring, Prior Learning, Dual Enrollment, Grading, and Academic Integrity Department. Testing is our umbrella that was formed 15 years ago, under which we have obviously grown into many different teams, and that's how we run our department. So I'm going to take the time to go through each of those at a very high level. At any point, if you have questions, please stop. I realize it's a lot of information. I'm going to try not to drown you in the information. So our Frontline Services team, they deal with all administration of all midterm finals, placement exams, proctored exams, prior learning exams. For all 6 of our sites, which I'll go through the locations later, we annually do about 70,000 to 80,000, depending, actual administration of exams. So how many of you knew, even though we're an online college, we actually do have in-person midterm and final? Right, okay. I'm shocked at how many people don't know that sometimes. So often we'll see students at the beginning of their academic career for their placement exams into reading, writing, math, and then at different points throughout depending on their program. All right, so I'm going to go through each of those really quickly. Again, stop me if I'm going too quickly or if you have any questions. So placement testing is administered. There's not only for reading, writing, and math, we also have for those students for whom English is a second language, we do offer paper format versus online format. We do accept colleges outside of scores that can be transferred in. This is, in general, it's set up so that students can know what class is best suited for them. We don't want students getting into Math 226 and failing out. We want them to know where they should go. Frontline Services NonReal proctored exams. This is another service that all of our locations offer. So if you are a student at Ottawa University or New York University or ASU and you don't want to go to their campus to take it because we're more convenient, we do offer that service. These exams are sent to us from the school directly. We house them in a secure location, and we administer them for a charge of $20. These are just some of the institutions that we proctor for. Over the years, it's been well over 15 to 20,000 different schools that we've had, international institutions that, in addition to just schools, it's also like Blue Cross Blue Shield runs all their candidates through us for testing, or a lot of the Department of Protection or Department of Corrections run through us as well. Prior learning. This will come up in our discussion of new in testing. This is our newest team to be added. Our prior learning initiative is pretty much top down. We're really trying to provide more services for students who have knowledge in their subject area outside of traditional school. So if you have worked in an office setting and you are very competent when it comes to high-level math because you've been doing accountancy, you can come in and take a CLEP math test. You don't need to necessarily take a math class. And for a fraction of the cost, we can apply actual credits to your transcript. So this is an option that's been highly popular with our military personnel for a long, long time. Also credits coming out of high school, but we're really pushing it for a lot more of our traditional students. So the CLEP and the DSST, Departmental Challenge Exams. So again, if you are an educator and you've been working in a school district and you want to come in and take the midterm final and negotiate with the department as to what credits you should get for a specific class, they're open to that. But this is something that the Departmental Challenge Exams and the portfolio evaluation really are newer aspects to this we're starting to promote now. Any questions on that? Okay, portfolio, just very teeny bit. We actually do work with an outside company named Kale. They're a huge organization to put together portfolio presentations. So you can use all of your prior knowledge outside of the educational field and bring it into your classes. All right, so that was the Frontline Service team in a nutshell. Our next team is really our proctoring team. So for those students who signed up for a midterm final class, but they live in China or New Mexico, we need to find them a proctor at which they can go and have their exam sent, just like we do for other schools, and take their exams in a proctored setting to make sure that they're meeting all of our requirements. So it's the student's responsibility to try and find something in their area that they can have their exams sent to. They contact us, they fill out a request for a local proctor. We do also have over 11,000 proctors on file that we use on a regular basis. So if students get stuck, we can do that. The proctoring team then vets the proctor. We don't want to send our exams or codes, obviously, to people that we don't trust will maintain the integrity of our material. So it's a vetting process, getting them into, getting signatures back and forth. And then they send the exams, and we do over 10,000 of these a year. And that's pretty standard. Any questions? This just means you can't ask any at the end, right? All right, next team, dual enrollment team. We have a large dual enrollment population. Dual enrollment means high school students, right? Difference between concurrent enrollment. If you have a high school student who's currently in high school, but they also want to, in addition, take an English class with Rio Salado, they can do that. And they can get the college credit. However, they're not getting high school credit. Dual enrollment is a specific program, and I'm sure you guys will hear about at some point in your training, that allows the student to take the class on campus with a or their teacher that's also been certified by Rio and get both high school and college credit. Well, in order to get into all of these, we do require placement testing Again, that's several thousand, tens of thousands of students a year that have to go through all the placement testing in order to enroll in these classes. They do have to meet the college requirements for placement in order to get both credit. We work with over 43 high schools. They do have online and paper testing. I mean, think back to the high school days when it was a huge cafeteria full of people filling out bubble sheets. We're trying to get away from it, but it still happens. I discussed concurrent enrollment already, and then we're responsible, obviously, for grading, uploading, communicating with all the liaisons to make sure that those scores are in place for them to register. Kind of brings us to our grading team. So we do actually have quite a few paper-based. Talking about Incarcerated, we have 2 programs. All of those midterms and finals have to be taken on paper. In addition to that, they have quizzes that are taken on paper. We also have people that just choose to still take it in a paper-based format. So all of those come through. Again, tens and thousands of these come through every year. This particular portion of the department is also responsible for reporting out to all disciplines. So if math wants to know how people are performing on a specific test, they'll come to us. We'll pull an item analysis report, put all the information together, and present it so that they can make informed decisions. Academic Integrity Team. This is our newest team, kind of conceived about the same time as our prior learning. This has been a team that's come about the necessity of really trying to ferret out academic integrity issues. So this team works with the peer-to-peer system. It's a system that all students submitting are required to go through in order to submit any essays to make sure no plagiarism or any issues. It's very similar to Turnitin. They manage that. They also work with any potential issues that a faculty member might see, like, hey, this seems really similar to this article I see online, or these 2 students' answers are matching exactly. So they deal with all of those. Branching off from that, they also work with financial aid fraud, which has been depressing but really interesting. Copyright infringement, they've taken over that aspect of monitoring the websites. They also do a general internet monitoring to make sure that there are no postings out there on Craigslist offering to sell you courses. All right? How big is your team? Right? You'd think it'd be massive. Not really. Proctoring, there's 3. Grading, 1.5. Academic integrity, we have 2.5 full-time. Front desk has 3 full-time and 2 part-time. And then just as general support, dual enrollment has their very own proctoring who supports back and forth, and then we have a person whose job is solely to train all of these individuals. So the reason we have a training individual, that's a nice segue, is because we offer the majority of these services at 6 different site locations. So Todd was talking about the Communiversity having a testing center. Even though they don't directly report to us, we're responsible for making sure they have all of the necessary tools to perform the same jobs that we perform here in the Tempe Testing Center. So we have Avondale. They give midterm finals, placement exams. They also do the proctoring. Criterion is a specific company I was talking about briefly, the companies that send all their staff through us for testing. Surprise has a location. We also have Mesa location and Northern, which is one of our newer sites. It used to be at Paradise Valley Mall. We have Loop, which is actually a national test center. So they administer CLEP and DSST to military personnel in a really high volume. And then our Tempe Testing Center. All right, contacting us. Instead of giving you a bunch of phone numbers to write down, I do keep the website up to date. I was going to click through on it, but it's under maintenance right now, so it's not as pretty. But our website has all of our contact information. Also, we just prefer you to call or email. That Testing Rio Learn email account is a general account, which all of the teams, so if you don't know which person to send it to, or if you have just a general question, you can call and ask, and we will always ferret you to the right area. We're aware that we're a little complicated, so we'd rather you just call a general information, and we'll get you to the right person. All right, what's new? We have 3 sites coming on board in the near future that will have testing centers in them, so we need to prepare for all of those. The Thomas site is up, not running yet. We have staff and computers in. The Communiversity in Queen Creek, fingers crossed, that'll be in the next year and a half. And then Southern is on track to be this summer sometime. We're always bringing in new exams. It's a headache, but we are always bringing in new exams. We try and take a pulse on what the community needs, if there's been any changes in the workforce. If all of a sudden we need to be having the test that allows people to become technicians on solar panels, then we need to bring that in so that we're supporting our community at large, not just our students, but the entire community. And obviously our prior learning team has been a real initiative that's come through. Now the hardest part is that they asked us to come up with a specific story of astonishing our customers. And I'm not going to lie, I am very blessed. I work in an amazing department with a lot of incredible people, and I couldn't narrow it down. So I just picked some of the comments that have come through from students returning to us in the last month or so. The team works really hard. We're incredibly competitive to make sure that we outshine each other. So this is not an uncommon event to have students really grateful for helping. Testing is a very stressful part of your academic career, so we really try and make it as easy as possible for the student, understanding that by the time you're walking in to take a test, your nerves are already frazzled, so let's just figure out how to solve the problem instead of making it more difficult. All right, I'll let you read those. Are there any questions? Any answers? Always looking. All right, much appreciated.
I'm Laurel Redmond. I'm the Director of Admissions, Registration, and Record. Most of you probably know of us as Student Enrollment Services, but we're actually kind of transitioning back to the formal name of Admissions, Registration, and Records because Student Enrollment Services originally was developed as a one-stop, primarily between advisement and admissions, registration, and records. But now that we're on different floors, it just makes a lot more sense for students who know us. This is pretty much the name that you would see at the other Maricopa Community Colleges, and it more encompasses what we actually do in our office. What we do, and I kind of made this a little broad. I didn't want to get too specific. I'll get a little more specific later. But first and foremost, when a student needs to start, we're like the top to bottom when it comes to a student. We start a student at the very basic level of admissions. They can do this online, and many students choose to do that. But if students run into a little kink or they have special circumstances, they may contact our office. And so there's different types of admissions, which I'll go into in a minute. Registration, so when students need to register for classes, and I'll kind of go into the different groups that we register. Records in kind of a broad sense, and then graduation. So we are the first line and the last line of what a student might see. As far as admissions, some of the groups that we work with, first and foremost, we work with any students when it comes to admissions, but there are some special groups who require attention from our office. Students under the age of 18, there are state mandates when it comes to students who are under the age of 18 and what they must do, what permissions they must have, and there's two different groups of students that are under 18. Special admissions, or otherwise known as concurrent enrollment, are students who come to Rio Salado, and they typically will take either an in-person or a distance learning course, but they do need, a lot of them want to get high school credit for those courses. So there's a special process that they go through in order to get that credit. And also dual enrollment. Those are students taking coursework in the high school, being taught by their high school teachers, but they're getting college credit at the same time. So we have two significantly different processes when it comes to how we process. Right now is our peak time for dual enrollment. We're kind of coming, probably in the next week or so, we'll be done with the majority of our dual enrollment. And let's see, so most years we average between 7,000 and 8,000 dual enrollment students. I think this year we're looking more around like just under 6,000. The next thing that we do as far as our admissions process, and I'm going to go into this a little bit more later, we've implemented a new process this year which has to do with a lot with fraud prevention when it comes to financial aid. And then Prop 300 and HB 208 documentation. As many of you who may have taken classes before know, there are state laws now since 2007 and more recently 2010 that state that in order to be able to take classes and be eligible for in-state rates or be eligible for special benefits such as scholarships, you are required to prove that you're legally here either as a citizen, permanent resident, or on a visa. So our office is the one that collects the documentation, processes, makes sure the essential comments are out there so that those students are entitled to certain benefits. Right now, a new group that we're working with are those who, based on the new presidential executive order, we're working with that group of students because they're going through the process of getting their work authorization. And so we have a lot of students contacting us right now to get their GED completion because that is part of their process. Also, we take in residency applications. There's many different cases for residency. It could be a student who's lived here just over a year, and they have to go through the process of providing us documentation to prove they're here in Arizona over a year and that they've set up ties in Arizona. But there's also some exceptions within residency, and I'll go into that in a little bit. As far as registration, I kind of mentioned dual enrollment and special admissions are some of our under 18 populations. We do also work with corporate and government partners. We do have a team that works on those. We've got groups such as U.S. Airways, the Department of Economic Services. They actually do on-the-job trainings, which are then converted into college credit. And they sign up at their training facility, and then we enroll them in coursework. Many of them get certificates based on this coursework, and then later they're able to roll that into certain degree programs if they so choose. Incarcerated reentry is another group that we work with. I don't even know if, Lisa, we know how many students we enroll every year. It's quite a large number between the facilities of Lewis and Perryville, as well as our students who are taking courses really nationwide. They can be doing courses, as Lisa mentioned, typically they're not internet-based. They're usually more print-based type courses where they actually do paper and pencil and that kind of thing. But there are students all over that take from other facilities. ACE is a program that's based at the downtown center. We do work with them both on students who are doing GED completion and then going into the ACE programs to complete their adult basic education. The RISE program is something that is out at the Lifelong Learning Center in Surprise. This is a group who we typically enroll them into a specific section, and then behind the scenes, Todd's team out at the Lifelong Learning Center enrolls them into courses. But this is for usually our retired population out there. And then site locations. Lately, we've been processing hundreds of applications for the northern site because they're really coming up on board. So we do handle a lot for the locations. Not everybody has the ability to register. Only a few sites have an actual representative who has basically been trained here on the campus and can register. But most of those paper, pencil type SIFs, student information forms, which are applications, are processed through our office, as well as a lot of the registration cards. Records, this is kind of a very small list of what we do. I kind of tried to make it simple. Transcript processing. When students finish coursework, need transcripts. It could be for taking to the Department of Education for certification. It could be to transfer onto a university. Some of the employers require documentation when students complete coursework. And so we process those transcripts. Even if a student goes online and orders a transcript, those are still printed out of our office and mailed out. So we still have a hand on even those requests. The only thing we don't have to do a lot with are the electronic requests. If a student needs to send one, for instance, to either one of our Maricopa Community Colleges, ASU, NAU, or University of Phoenix, those are all sent electronically. So those don't cause us to have to actually print out a transcript, validate it with a signature, and print it out in the mail. Those are pretty easy for students. And then another thing is anything to do with grading is not only processed in our office, but is housed in our office. Many grading records are considered permanently archivable records, so we have to have, we don't get a lot of class rosters anymore because we are now using Rio Learn or student information systems to post grades, but we have to maintain any kind of class roster indefinitely, as well as any grade change forms. Nowadays, Rio uses a lot of help desk tickets for grade changes, but we still print those and process those in-house. And a petition for semester overload is what a student has to complete and file in our office if they intend on taking more than 18 credits. 18 is the maximum load in Maricopa, and if you want above 18, the student is required to fill that form out. And we do look at each form individually. We don't just automatically say, okay, you're eligible for 18 credits, because we want to make sure that that student is going to be academically successful. So we do look at each student's application before signing off on it. There have been a couple cases where we've said, I'm sorry, I just don't feel like, you're going to be successful. Or we try to look and make sure the student is staggering their start dates as much as possible. And last but not least is graduation. And I don't know how many of you have ever, I know a lot of you are very new employees, but how many of you have ever attended a graduation at Rio? But commencement is a really awesome experience. I've volunteered at probably 5 or 6 commencements now as one of our marshals. I'm kind of like graduated now into head marshal. But it's really fun to get to see the excitement of students. We don't have a huge graduation like some of our sister colleges because we have so many online students. But I think we saw about 130 actually walk last year, which is pretty good. And it's just kind of fun to see the excitement because so many of them are non-traditional aged adults who are coming back to school, and it's just such a great sense of accomplishment for them. And just to see it on their faces, it's really an experience. I would encourage any of you when they ask for volunteers, I would encourage you to try to come and participate. And our main customers, I didn't really break it down into internal, external. We work with nearly every department on the campus as well as any type of student. Rarely are we going to have a student who does strictly everything through the online system and never talks to our office. I think students will call us if they either find a hiccup on My.Maricopa or I just need to know how to order a transcript. I mean, they have our website, which is available, but we talk to so many students. During our peak registration time frame, which we're, like I said, we're just winding that down. On a given Monday during peak, we may talk to like 1,800 students on the phone. So we do talk to quite a few students. Internal customers, I mean, we work with nearly every department, especially in the tower building. We deal on a daily basis with financial aid, advisement, some testing questions. We've contacted testing with questions. We do work with test scores every day. We work with cashiering office. We talk with the faculty. We work with, I'm trying to think who else, technology help desk. I mean, almost anybody in the college we work with. Occasionally we work with course support quite a bit, and they actually help us with our phones. So I can't say that we have a limit on who our customers are. Almost all students. We even talk to parents at times with permission, or sometimes students will designate a person who's allowed to call on their behalf. So we do keep forms in our office as to who we can talk to. So we have quite a vast array of customers. High schools, when it deals with dual enrollment. Where we're located, we're on the first floor of the tower building right over there. As you walk in the door, we are the entire right side of the building, basically. We kind of spread out a few years ago when we took over the first floor. So there's offices on the right side too, which we integrate with, our international education, as well as our counselors. So we do actually work pretty hand in hand with those offices too every day. So anybody that wants to come stop by, we can give you a tour. We do have a really awesome facility that we use to house our records. So if anybody wants to come see that, I know it sounds silly, but we bought that about 2-3 years ago, and it's just this massive one room, but we can hold just an immense amount of records. It's really cool. How to reach us? I'm kind of like Heather. We would prefer that we not contact employees too much directly because it does kind of inhibit them. We expect our staff to be on the phone most of the time. So if you're calling them on their direct lines and they're not able to finish with the call, or it's interrupting their call, and it's just easier to call our main line because we do have 2 options, especially for students, registration and records. And so that's how our calls get to us. If you are working in a specific department that deals with special registrations, we work a lot with early childhood. We do have designated contact people, so they usually know who those are. With Incarcerated Reentry, Chris McCollum is our lead. With dual enrollment, it's Terry Sandoval. And so we do have kind of lead people, but I guess my hesitation too of putting up specific phone numbers is like staff turnover, and we like to shift duties to give people new responsibilities. So it's kind of hard to say, well, this is always going to be the person you'll call for this purpose. So I would say if you have any questions, sometimes it's almost better to email our staff. And so I didn't have a lot of time to put a lot of stuff into this, but if you don't mind, before this gets posted, I would like to go ahead and do some more updating just so that you guys know where you can find some more of our information, especially like our websites and stuff like that. What's new? The admissions process for our financial aid students is a pretty big new undertaking. We kind of started a little bit in the winter with our students, and what it is just like with our academic integrity team, we're trying to kind of quash some of our financial aid fraud. So we're doing as best as we can, because we do get students who still call us and say, well, I never enrolled with your college 3 years ago, but here they have a $2,000 debt from getting financial aid. So we're now requiring students, and this is not just, it's not just financial aid, but this is where they're primarily seeing it, is they have what's called a checklist item on their student center, and it tells them they have to prove identity. So we do require it be a color copied photo, and it needs to be legible. We do tell our students their address really should be current on that, because we want to make sure they're really living where they say they are. Especially now because there are federal mandates that say when we deliver coursework, we need to make sure that we're delivering to states that are in fact approving us to teach there. So we've tell students they need to send a color copy of that. Once that has been validated by our team, then we remove that checklist item. The next one is prior education. As of July 1st, the Department of Education says that in order for students to be eligible for financial aid, they do need to prove prior education. And we do require that this be done with official transcripts coming from the source. So if a student is needing to prove high school completion, it needs to come from their high school. If they have trouble, we've let students know. We have created a spreadsheet within our office for each state in the United States of who they can contact. So if the student says, well, my high school burned down, I don't have access to my records, we do know how to contact that state's Department of Education. We have all those contact numbers available. As far as the GED, most of the time we will send them back to the State Department of Education, and we do know which states no longer send transcripts, so we can kind of work the students through that process. And then if they say, well, I never completed high school or a GED, some students have gotten away with getting straight into college without that. If they've completed at least 6 credits successfully, we can use their college credits, but they do need to have those sent to us. So if you ever talk to a student who said, well, I took my credits over at MCC, they really need to get those transcripts sent over to us so that we can verify that we have them here. But we do want them to be official, because there have been cases, and I've represented financial aid on conference calls where students have actually created documents that were in fact fraudulent to prove that they completed high school or college. So this is why we won't accept faxes, we won't accept hand carries, because we know students who really want their financial aid will do just about anything to get what they want. As far as customer astonishment, I didn't capture any examples, but just like Heather, we, if any of you read the Wave, which obviously they encourage every Monday you should read the Wave, we post in there the SES Superstars, and that is actually a combination of comments from our students for both our office, advisement, testing. So most of the enrollment services are in there, and we do get a lot of customer service compliments, especially for our front desk staff, because students who come into the front desk, it's a lot of times their first time for a college experience, and they want to come in because they want to make sure they're doing everything they need to do step by step. So they'll stop and see us first, make sure that everything is admitted correctly, make sure that their residency is up to date, that they're still in class, that they haven't been dropped from payment yet, and then they'll move on and make sure that their financial aid is set up or their payments are getting paid. So we get a lot of, oh, that person was so patient with me, and I'm just really appreciative. So we do try to take the time to walk through our students with what the processes are. Even if they call in on the phone, we try to let them know, if you're a first-time student, this is where you want to go to first. You know, start at Rio, go through, do the tutorials that are available to you. That way you know how to get started on your courses. And we are there to also kind of troubleshoot students through some of it, because not everything is related to Rio technology. Sometimes it is related to little hiccups that they face when they try to go on to My.Maricopa, and we try to walk our students through that process. Any questions? kind of hard to squeeze 10 minutes because we do a lot in our office. So if you guys need us, my number is extension 78563. So if you ever have a question, don't hesitate to ask. And I can always point you in the right direction or make sure that you guys, if you have any inquiries or questions or issues, usually available to take care of those.